where we kind of have that understanding, like, look, I understand you getting frustrated. Like, it makes sense, right?
And it's fair.
And it's fair.
Right.
And it's fair. But just take into consideration what's being done when it's not when you're not being responded to.
It's got nothing to do with you.
Right.
9 out of 10 times, it's got nothing to do with that person.
Right. Right.
We're not responding because we're mad at them. We're not responding because we're annoyed. Like, none of those things are true. But I do realize maybe it's different for you, but quite often, like, we don't respond for whatever our reasons are.
Right.
We may even share those reasons. But I think they're not always digested in the same way that they're intended.
No.
Right?
No.
So by the time they create their story and they react.
Yo, thanks for locking in and welcome to Jyim Life. Today, I got my homie coming through, Carnation, who is a fellow gym owner and mixed martial arts trainer. We're going to chop it up about our passion and trying to manage and grow healthy relationships. Let's vibe out. Yo, so what's going on, fam?
Appreciate you for the invite.
Oh, of course, man. You know, every time we got to catch up and then get a workout in and talk about some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man. Yes, sir.
Definitely. So for our warm-up, first thing we're going to start with, I'll just run through it real quick for you. We go down for an inchworm, push-up, right? Just kind of get the chest warm. Then after that, we're going to squat and then pivot left to right. After we squat, pivot, then we're going to lunge, go to an oblique twist each side. Then we're gonna go arm rotations, then we'll shadow box for last minute. That's the warm-up set. For the work set, we're gonna have kettlebell squats, pull-ups, kettlebell swings, push-ups, and then one-arm deadlifts, all right? Easy. So we'll start off with the inchworm to the push-up. We'll get those going.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you know, it's crazy. It's the end of the year now, so I know there's a lot of, with the gym and everything, this is the time when you probably trying to figure out what you wanna do heading into the new year.
Yeah, man. Actually, all I did for this past year, was I kind of chilled back and was working on this year just being a setup for next year. So at this point in time, everything's already set up for next year. Like everything, all my systems, the way we're gonna take people in, the new programs, the new curriculum, everything's set up right now, and it feels good. Everything seems to be falling into place. I haven't even tried to talk to anyone about it, but people are already coming to me about it, so I'm excited about that.
Right.
So,
you know, it's funny when you talk about systems and protocols. I think sometimes people think when you own a gym or a fitness studio, martial arts studio, whatever, they just think you're working people out all day. But like, nah, there's a lot that goes into everything on the back end, right? Like, how often do you live on your laptop?
Man, it's most of the day.
Most of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
It's almost sometimes a little, I feel frustrated when people, you know, you can't blame them because they don't know.
Right.
But they're like, man, all you do is tell people what to do all day. And it's like, man, like, I wish.
Right.
Like, the training is the easy part.
Yeah.
You know, that's the fun part.
That's the fun part. Right.
But it's like...
And even with the telling people what to do, I think they misunderstand of how much goes into even telling people what to do.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm not just like orchestrating random
Right.
workouts for people to do. It's like me taking into account injuries, what your goals are, so many things, because if it's not done accurately, then you're going to leave.
Right.
You know?
And not to mention the small goals that you created for that client too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That they may not even have been paying attention to, but you know, the mobility that they require, or whatever those little things are to help them do better for their own goals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it takes a lot to even just prepare for one person.
Right. And then, like, you know, it's what I call is just like the imaginative part of it, right?
Right.
Like, how many times do you just need to be completely blank with arm rotations? You need to be completely blank, not thinking about anything, so that you could kind of like imagine what you want to do next.
Right.
Right? Which takes a lot of time and energy away from everything, right?
And sometimes that requires for you to leave, right? We were just talking about that before. It's like it may require for you to leave for the weekend or just find a space where you can be creative and let go of things so that you can have an empty cup to refill so that you can give back to everybody else.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That whole stepping away part, which is the biggest. It was funny. I saw one of my friends sent me a video recently, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And it was a woman on Instagram. You know how they have the little shorts and the clips?
Yeah.
And she said, very specifically, if a man doesn't text you back right away, that means he's not interested.
Oh,
right?
Man. Yeah, that's very inaccurate, actually.
Little shadow box. Right, and I think that this kind of narrative gets perpetuated without any input from guys who fall into that category, right? Where it's like, I could definitely be interested in someone and want to message them, but then I would be doing is negating my responsibilities in order to do that.
Right.
Right.
Or your priorities, right? And I think that's where sometimes it falls into like, well, am I not your priority? And it's like, that's an interesting way of like, I'm supposed to drop everything.
Right.
And it's not that person is not important, right? It's just that you've been working your whole life to get to this place. And now that you're in it, those responsibilities will always come first, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's the part that I think, and I understand trying to find someone that prioritizes what you do, right? Or you want to find someone that prioritizes you, right? Which is important. And we'll go to, you hit the pull-ups, I'll hit the kettle squats, and we'll get 10. So I understand that part. It's like, I want to find somebody who prioritizes me and is really interested in me and is invested. I get it. But at the same time, unless you meet somebody who comes from old money and doesn't have to do anything, somebody's going to have responsibilities. And in addition to that, squats, pull-ups, and you got kettlebell swings. Okay. And I go to the pull-ups. And in addition to that, never mind, and I don't know about you, like, I don't come from money, so I have to be there for my family as well.
Right.
So now you may get off work, and you got to respond to messages from friends, family.
That you may not have responded to in a couple of days already.
Right. So the best way, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, then you got push-ups. Yeah, and I'll go to the swings. So basically I put out like sometimes at the end of the day, I'll finish and then I'll look at my phone and I have about 6 messages to respond to, but I haven't eaten yet. I haven't gone to the bathroom.
Right.
I haven't done the back end work on the laptop.
Right.
And I have 3 hours to get that done before I try to get to sleep to at least get a couple hours, right?
Not to mention you're falling asleep as you're trying to do those things.
As you're trying to do those things, right? So now, yes, I could see your name with the fact that you sent me a message.
Right.
And then in honor of myself, say, I'll try and get back to her tomorrow.
Right.
I'll try and get back to her the next day.
Right.
In honor of myself, right? But I don't think they see that part. They see the part only at the end where if I would have said I negated all my responsibilities to message you, would you even want me to do that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then who would I be if I did that? Would I even be somebody that you would respect? Or want to love, or whatever those things are. Right.
You got one arm deadlifts. Yes, very true. I don't think those things get taken into consideration. You know what I mean?
Right. Or thought about.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes people get so caught up in the story that they're creating in their head, and it's hard to see outside of that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think I saw one of your posts one day, and you had said something about somebody you offered a session to, and you just offered it from the heart. But they had a lot of other things going on. So by the time you saw them, you asked if they needed help.
Yes.
But they felt guilt. They thought you were coming at them because they hadn't came around.
Yes.
If you're someone that understands. I mean, we just had this text the other day where it was like, I didn't realize that I didn't text you back since May. But
Right.
the response from you was always like, has always been,
Yeah.
we'll get it when you have time.
Whenever you have time.
Because when I understand, or you understand that when I don't reply, it's not a personal thing.
Yes.
I don't have the capacity at this moment to get to what we need to do, right? Which is why I also didn't want to hit you up until I did.
So you had the time.
So I had the time.
Right. You got squats.
Because I want to make sure when we do something, I have the real time
to be able to do it.
To do it right too, right?
Right.
I don't want to come in here and half-ass something.
Yeah, and then I think it's also the understanding that, how can I put it? That, and to go back to your story, the story that I posted was, you're absolutely right. There's a girl who said she wanted to do a session, and she said she was going to message me. She never messaged me. I said hi, and she's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay." Right. But we put this fucking pressure on people to respond to messages, which I think, it could be a little just like self-indulgent. Right. Where it's just like, the reason why I don't trip when somebody doesn't respond to me is because I'm thinking, they probably have a lot of other people in their lives. It's not only me. Right. And those other people are requiring them to respond too. So let's say you have, parents, grandparents, cousins, siblings, friends that you grew up with, all messaging you, right? So it's 15, 20.
And they all need something from you.
And they all need something, whether it's just an ear at the moment, right? So now, as anybody, whether I'm a girl, whether I'm your friend, for me to require to be at the top of that list every day, like not once. I understand like, hey, you haven't got back. I can understand being at the top of that list one day, maybe two, but you want to be at the top of that list every day. What I think, what oftentimes gets missed is that, they have to understand that it's nothing personal. Right. Don't attach your story to it. Right. And there's 100% women that I've been very interested in, but in honor of myself, I don't negate what I have to do to just, hey, how's your day? Right. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's obviously somewhere we've got to do what we have done, where we have to understand we need to, like, you and I, brother, we're obsessed over this. Yes. Right? Yeah. I wrote something the other day where I said, something along the lines of like, they love your dedication until it affects their time. Right. This is my meditation. It's how I keep my mind. Okay. It's like, yo, nation, I think you addicted to the grind. Yeah, maybe, but I'm playing for keeps. Call me crazy, but I don't know how else I can be. See, I ain't lazy. I just ain't got the capacity. Right? And it's like, they tell me I play too hard. Well, this ain't no fucking scrimmage. Right? Like, see, I don't just kind of want it. I'm obsessed. Right. This ain't my definition of success. And it goes on, right? But like, that's like true for me. Yeah. Right? And I know it should be true for you. Like, we've dedicated so much of our lives to what we do. And we've came from a place in our life where we had nothing, right? We might have even came from less than nothing, right? We might maybe even going on the wrong path at different times in our life. And we found our way back to something that gave us some kind of ground or feeling of groundness, right? And now we give that back to other people. Yes, right? 100%. That's our main thing. Above the health, above the martial arts, above all these things, I think that's the main thing that we provide for other people. Is we help them feel grounded. We give them a way of a certain mindset, a certain way of living to outgrow whoever they've been, consistently day in and day out.
It's what you say is paramount, right? And then we're back around. You got pull-ups. What you say is paramount, meaning that not only are we obsessed, it's the profession we chose, right? Right. In that profession, we're helping people become centered, which doesn't go 9 to 5, right? It's not 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day.
Oh, we never clock out.
Right, we never clock out. Right. And people's peace of mind, wellness, all those things, and then you got swings, all those things depend on us being in a good space. Absolutely. So if I'm super tired and not focused, then I'm no good for the people I'm supposed to be serving. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. How could we?
How could we? But I think also, too, that's a good sense of awareness, what you just said, is acknowledging the fact that we are a bit excessive
Oh, definitely.
with what we're doing,
Yeah.
right? So it's almost like letting whoever we're with kind of have that understanding. Like, look, I understand you getting frustrated. Like, it makes sense, right?
And it's fair.
And it's fair.
Right.
And it's fair. But just take into consideration what's being done when it's not when you're not being responded to.
It's got nothing to do with you.
Right.
9 out of 10 times, it's got nothing to do with that person.
Right. Right.
We're not responding because we're mad at them. We're not responding because we're like, none of those things are true. But I do realize maybe it's different for you, but quite often, like, we don't respond for whatever our reasons are.
Right.
We may even share those reasons. But I think they're not always digested in the same way that they're intended.
No.
Right?
No.
So by the time they create their story and they react how they react to it, then sometimes it is a little frustrating on my end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. What I think, I get to, and one, good. And then,
I got the deadlifts.
yeah, the deadlifts, 1 and 1. I think what's a good thing to always understand is most people speak from their experience, right?
Right.
So
Or their trauma.
Right, or from their trauma.
Right.
So I do understand that you've seen this behavior before, and it usually indicated something else.
Right.
So I have to speak with some level of like understanding towards that.
Or compassion towards
Or compassion,
it. Right.
yes, 100%.
Right.
Right. So then now it has to be a level of compassion to. I think we're naturally born to see things and make sure that we don't repeat mistakes.
Right.
So usually that's what they're trying to do, and I get it, right?
Right.
I'm gonna push me back there. So that's what they're trying to do, and I get it, you know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, and I get it. So it takes a level of understanding, empathy from both people, right? So for the person not being able to respond, 1, and then the person who is taking it personal, 2, and then steady communication. I have this one homeboy back at home, and like we grew up together, super tight. There's certain times I'll call him, text him, and like 2 months later, he'll be like, yo, you called me, right? And I'm like, yeah. But at the same time, I know not to take it personal.
Right.
So what I think it takes is a lot of communication, and sometimes take into consideration, do things add up, right? So if you're that person who feels like you're being ignored and it means something else, you've attached a story to it. Just look at the time when you do hang out, the time you do get the messages, the time you do communicate, does it add up?
Right.
Right? Like, okay, I went, and a lot of times I do, if I'm seeing somebody, I'll invite them down to the gym. I'm like, hey, come down. See, like, you know what it is. See what's happening when I'm not responding. Just so you have some, if it gets that serious. You ain't going to get it too.
Of course.
Right? If it gets that serious, just so you have like a reference point as to what's happening, you know?
Right. Let me ask you this, because like, I've done that in the past.
Okay.
But almost every time it's made it worse.
Tell me, what you think?
The response usually becomes, I've heard you talk about these things. I've heard you talk about the things that you want to do, who you want to be to your community. But then I come see you do it and be that. And it's like then it goes to another level of who they view me as. But they want it more. Right? Like now it's a bigger attachment. Because now they believe that I'm going to be who they see me be in my facility and to my community. They think I'm going to put that same kind of energy towards them on a daily basis, day in and day out. So when I don't do it, now I'm a liar. Now I'm a fraud. Now I'm a this. Now I'm a that. Even though I spoke from the beginning. This is where I'm at. This is what I want. This is who I am. This is what I do. And in terms of this is also like I lay it out. But once they see it, they can't comprehend it.
That's so interesting. So you're saying they'll see it, right? And then when they see it, they say, if you can apply yourself here, why can't you apply yourself to me? And then, well, that's funny. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Because then now it becomes like, all right, and I've learned over time to be more curious when there's a disconnect, right? So that response to how they interpreted your day, it came from a certain space. I need to be curious as to what space that came from, right? And then in addition to me being curious about what space that came from, a big part of it, is it feasible, right? So what you're asking me to do, is it a romanticized version of who I am, or is it really feasible, right? So because they don't, some of them may not know what it's like to apply yourself to something wholeheartedly. They may not know that you can't do that 2 times over.
And that's what my response has been every time. I have not yet figured out how to, like, I'm building a plate that's big enough to hold more than one thing. I have not yet figured out how to be that for the things that I've been dreaming of. And you, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't like, and I'm honest about that. Like, I'm self-aware enough to know that I have not yet figured out how to do both of those things simultaneously.
Yes, but even though too, and I had to explain this to a friend one time, is what you have to remember. I think the difference with us is we're putting in so much work because our goal is to not work. Right. Like, so it's not like if I'm at a company and I know, but by the time it's time for me to retire, I'm going to be 60, 70 years old. But this, I'm looking like I could retire next year if I do everything the right way. Right?
I don't want to get to 60.
I don't want that. Like, that's not the, right. So it's gonna take that obsession in the beginning in order to get that amount of time. And the right person, I think, will be there to see it. You know,
and I think that it's understandable when they want to be patient, but then they can't, right? And I think it's hard to even understand, because to a certain level, like, when I look at this, I look myself in the mirror and go, oh, yo, you kind of psycho about this, right? And I understand that because, like you said, I want to go to these levels or reach these levels that I've never seen someone reach those heights. I'm chasing for that. So when people tell me that I got to find a balance, I hate that expression. Not because there's no truth to it, but because this is my fucking balance. Like, right now, I want to tip the scale as much as I can for as long as I can, so that at one point in time, they tip the other way. And I don't have to be...
You don't have to be that anymore.
Like, at one point in time, I do want a family, but I want my job to be to raise my kids. To teach my kids, to coach my kids. Not working. Or whatever those things are at that time. I don't know what they are yet. But, like, I haven't even thought about what that looks like. Right now, I want to tip the scale in one direction so that I reach these heights that I'm envisioning or creating. You know?
But you know what it is, and I think it's important to always try to interact, meet, and connect with people who know how to apply critical thinking, right? So the question is, if a guy doesn't respond to you right away, he's a day late, maybe 2 days late, and it's like, what does that mean? How about it depends? It depends. It depends, right? So what that, don't always come to these concrete, conclusive, definitive answers. What that means is, wait, talk to him, see, hear his plan, find out, right? Be more curious in that sense. And we're back. It's funny, you said something that made me think about tipping the scale. 10, 9, 8, 5, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And that comes with the thinking, is finding out why somebody's going so hard in the beginning. And is it to work like this for the rest of your life? Or is it to set yourself up to be able to chill and raise a family and do all those things? You know? Which takes the risk of it not even working, because people don't even take that into consideration. All this effort and it may not even work.
Man, this chick told me one time, she was like, wait, hold up, you're meaning to tell me that you're gonna, but there's no guarantee in that. And I was like, oh, I know. There is no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
But I don't need one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need, like, most people need a guarantee in order to start. I don't need a guarantee in order to finish. Like, I'm going to see this through regardless if it works out or not. But I also know that I trust my resilience enough that it's always going to work out. That doesn't guarantee me that it'll work out exactly how I envisioned it. But I know me, and like I'm a sure bet when it comes, like when I bet on myself, it's a sure bet.
It's a sure bet.
There's no guarantee about I know that my time may come before I reach the heights that I'm looking for.
Right.
That's not gonna stop me from chasing them.
From chasing it.
There's no guarantee. I know that.
Right. Yeah. And I think 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What I think is often not taken into consideration is what the latter is. Meaning that if I don't take this risk and apply myself, I might as well be dead anyway.
Right.
Because if I'm just sitting around playing it safe and doing something because this has a high risk of failure or a probability of failure that most people are comfortable taking, and I just sit at home and go get a 9 to 5 and I'm no good to you.
That sounds like death to me.
Yeah.
You living without being alive. I can't do that. I can't live with myself. Doing something like that.
Right.
And no disrespect to people that, this life isn't for everybody.
Right.
But that life isn't for me.
Right. So do you make any adjustments?
In terms of?
If you're seeing somebody and it gets to like some bit of seriousness, what adjustments would you make in your schedule? Bro, you gotta help me here. Cool.
I know.
We gotta
Yeah,
like we're at least some kind of good guys here. You know what I mean? Come on.
I think it's clear. To me, it's clear, right? When
oh God, there's your car. You're like adjustments. All right, Jyim, I thought we was talking about us sticking to our passion and not making. Jyim, what is this podcast about, bro?
What are you talking about here, man? We talking about adjustments? I think the adjustments come in. But I think the adjustments for me come in when I see something.
Okay.
Right? When there's some kind of return or some kind of understanding. Right?
Yeah.
If there's no understanding from the jump, I don't make any adjustments.
Right.
Then I know what it is. Then that's what it is. But I think the type of adjustments that I make is now I'm going to sacrifice some of my sleeping time. Right?
Okay.
And I think then that becomes another problem. You'll always come see me at nighttime, right? And it seems or looks because of other patterns they may be used to.
Right.
Like it's something different. But that's the only time I got.
Right. It's the end of the, yeah.
It's the end, I wake up at 5 every day, right? Get after it but getting after it might be, eating my breakfast, going for a run, working out, then start training, then start work, right? But I gotta do my stuff before I start really working,
right? Just
to make sure there's time for it.
Yeah.
My last session of the day sometimes is at 9:30 p.m. Like from the moment I wake up, I'm on my mission to the moment I go to sleep, I'm on my mission.
Right.
So sometimes the times that I know that I can't give up is at the end of the day.
Right.
But now I'm still sacrificing something.
Yes.
And it's my time.
Yes. Yeah.
But then that only goes so far too. Because after a couple days of that, my capacity is no longer there. Now I'm irritated. Now I'm because I'm tired all day. I'm waking up in a bad mood or whatever. So that doesn't last the whole week. Right. But when I see the understanding, this is the time I got, you understand it, then I'll make some more of that throughout the week, scattered.
I see that. So essentially what you're saying is I need to see that there's a level of understanding, a level of commitment, a level of compassion for me, then I can start making adjustments. But then when I start making those adjustments, they have to be appreciated.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, which makes sense, which makes a lot of sense. And then get my
yeah. I think that it gets kind of difficult though, because then when you find someone that's the same kind of way, where they're waiting for something from your end, then you both in a stalemate.
Yes,
You know?
yeah. You know, it's interesting. A lot of the statistics are just showing that a lot of adults is like we're gonna reach an all-time high in like single adults, right?
Right.
And I think that that's because so many people are career driven, and then there's a group of people who may not understand that level of being career driven
Right.
and the disconnect and all those things.
Yeah.
And what I think it's gonna force us to do is eventually kind of come out of these bubbles that we believe things have to be done conventionally,
Or in
right?
in the specific way, right?
Right. So
Right.
now, like, you know, conventionally, the way society will portray to us is like you meet the man and he loses his mind. It's so funny.
But
He
how,
loses his mind over you,
but
and
how new is
he
that?
can't go more than 5 minutes without thinking about you, and da da da. Like,
Right.
it's not reality.
And
Like,
then
it's
how
not.
new is that concept anyways?
You said what?
How new is that concept
Oh, right.
anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Because if we look at society as far as in history, that's not what marriage was anyways when it started,
Yeah.
right? It was literally to bring two clans together and form an allegiance and a strong suit between two different nations.
Right.
Obviously, we don't have to go take it back to those places,
Right.
but it is to secure a foundation between you and another person that's gonna elevate both of you, right? Which is, I think, why what you're talking about is important, because people are understanding that love is only gonna take you so far. That's not the real foundation, right? Or it needs to be part of it, but it's not the only thing, right?
I'm laughing because it's like some people think love will take you all the way,
It's not,
right? Like
right?
this, it's not realistic. It's a very utopic point of view where it's like, as long as we love each other, you know what I mean? Which I think requires an extensive amount of communication on both ends, right? Like communication, understanding on both ends. You know what I'm saying? Well, hopefully we get a little bit of our understanding from each other to better communicate our situations when we meet people. You know?
I'm struggling. I'm not even gonna pretend to this. It's a struggle, man, to the point where I'm just like, and I'm just chilling.
I'm just chilling.
I'm chilling, man. Like, I'm gonna stay in my lane. And we're just gonna rock.
Until you, right.
It's gonna come when it comes.
See what happens when it happens. Yeah.
Because it's a lot. It's too much. Then it causes other things that distract you from where you're actually trying to do, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
One thing recently that's been going through my mind is like, at least my shift in perspective has just been to exist for the good of mankind.
Okay.
Right? So that's just been my soul, like every day I wake, what's my contribution to society today? And it's just been on that, which when we talk about career-driven people, I think that everything they do on a day in and day out, in one way or another, contributes to society as a whole. And once we finally break out of this conventional way of doing things, the more people get in or pair up that are with that kind of mindset, the more we're actually going to be able to elevate together as a society, opposed to just focusing on these smaller issues on a personal level of like, what are you going to do for me?
Right, very individualistic.
Right, it's like, well, no, what are we gonna do for the world?
Like, together, collectively. Right.
Because and when I say for the world, or it doesn't necessarily mean we gotta go do this huge project. It's just being a good person, picking up trash, whatever that, like just small things that'll cause ripple effects throughout everything else, you know?
Right. Yeah. Have that be the focus.
Right.
Have that be the focus. How do I contribute? How do I just show up for my friends, my family, my community? How do I do that? And then it won't necessarily be the things have to be done this way. Right?
Yeah.
Let things happen as they should.
You ever heard somebody say something to you like you're not the prize here, like I'm the prize, or something along those lines? Like my response to that was always like, neither of us are supposed to be the prize. What we create is, right? It's not you, it's not me. It's like what we create is the prize. But like that, all these things tie into my perspective behind what any of this means or is supposed to be anyways. You know?
Very much nobody's the prize.
Nobody's the prize.
Yeah. Just putting in the work and being in alignment with what you believe is your truth and your honesty, and then letting things happen as, you know, as they come.
Then you can really have a best friend.
Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Man, well, I appreciate the workout,
Yes,
chopping
sir,
it
bro.
up, brother.
It's always
You
a
know what I'm
good time,
saying?
man.
Definitely.
Yes,
Until
sir.
next time.
Yeah.